there, this is Malorian, and this is going to be another Paintisode. I know I did just one yesterday, but I am in a painting blitz, and so I get to get more painting done, and you guys get another video while I ramble on. And just quickly, for those who this is your first Paintisode, really, you're supposed to go and grab some stuff to paint. This gives you something to listen to. So I paint stuff, you paint stuff, and at the end, we got stuff painted, and I got to yap your ear off. So yesterday I was working on those sword knights. You should have seen the finished picture at the end. So once I was done the Paintisode, because I don't only want to give this to an hour. I probably could have pushed that one longer, but I don't want to make him edible chunks, right? I don't want to start making like 5-hour Paintisodes. But I did way more painting yesterday. Like I said, I'm in the middle of a painting blitz. And after I was done that hour, I did another 5 hours of painting. So that's how I finished off all the sword knights, got that picture on there, and I started painting on the next guys. And that's going to be these Nis hunters. We're still working on War Machine models, but these guys are mercenaries. Basically, the Nis are like elves, and there's very few of them in the game. Actually, the majority of Nis you see are part of the Legion of Everblight, where they've basically been blighted, they've been corrupted, and you got like these evil Nis. But these are the actual like good guy kind of remaining Nis hunters, and they're pretty damn good. The problem with them is that they are very fine, small models with bajillion pieces, take forever to make, and they break really easy. And you know what? It feels good to be finally painting these guys because, well, as soon as I'm done painting them, I'm going to drop one and break one. In fact, that's what happened yesterday. As soon as I finished my first sword knight, I dropped it, broke, and I had to go and touch them all up already. But one of the first things I want to mention that I did with these guys here is I'm using a painting method that I learned from Vol SC. So some of you guys might not know who he was, but he was doing lots of Fantasy Battle Reports before, High Elves and Tomb Kings and Warriors of Chaos. And then he started doing some War Machine as well. But one of the things he did is he painted up a circle army, actually, very, very quickly. And he said the way he did it, and how he paints for others too, is this way that he can paint extremely quickly, but it doesn't look all that great. And really, well, okay, it looks great from across the table, but if you hold it up close, you're like, oh, that's not all that great. So really what you do is you look at a model, you pick its base color, and you paint it that. Just spray, paint, whatever you're going to do, get that base color on there. Then you take something like white and or gray, and you just dry brush it all over. And that's going to pick up all the details. Past that, you just pick out some of the other highlights, right? Put on the metals, maybe a little bit of brown, something, but really spending as little amount of time as possible, because still, when you look at it across the table, it is, okay, it's a greenish theme, and you can see how the details are picked out with the dry brush. So if there's hair, buttons, trim, something like that, those all get accented from it. Now, looking at these guys, they have these really intricate suits and all this stuff, a little ninja suit. And I looked at it, I was like, well, why don't we make them like ninjas, make them all black, kind of like the ninjas on the TV shows, and then we'll just kind of do what Vol did. So we'll paint it all black. I then just went over with a gray and dry brushed over, and it picked up most of the details. And you know what? For the most part, I'm very happy with it. Of course, this camera, you'll have to see it from the picture after, but for the most part, yeah, it's just going to focus on my face while I try and show you this. It does show off all the details, and I came back and I started doing some more of the trims and the metals and stuff like that, but it was really, really fast. And so, and part of that painting yesterday, I was able to get done all 10 of these guys, and I'm really just now in the final details. I'm actually just have to paint on the hair on a couple. Have to do the faces, like the eyes, because unfortunately these guys are showing their faces. It was nice on the sword knights where their faces were all covered with helmets except for one. But I have to do some eye work here. Still have to paint the white quiver, but really they're almost done. So We're going to go through this. Probably it's going to be about an hour to do that. If by some case it goes longer, I got these precursor nights, which are also more privateer press stuff from Signar. But I don't know if I'll really get there because I still have to do my Malorian wash over it as well. I was actually kind of surprised to hear that somebody had posted saying that they've adopted the Malorian wash. And for those who have not heard that from a previous episode, all I do is I don't spend money on that fancy smancy washes that everybody else does. I just go and I have this empty pot that I go and mix in some really watered down black. And that's what I use as my wash. And I know the new washes look better, the Devlin Mud and all that cool stuff. But you know what? If I start making things look better now, it's just going to make everything kind of look worse from before. So I'm sticking with the Malorian wash. It's cheap, it's easy, and it works. What can I say? So always interesting to see that. Maybe it wasn't good. Maybe I should have been saying, like, no, don't go the Malorian way. Oh, man. Now, the problem with doing this dry brush technique is that now, like, I need to get yellow in this little space here. And the problem is my brush is dying, my detail brush. So I'm not really getting that pinpoint accuracy. But the thing is you really don't want to have to come back and touch it up because then you have to kind of go black and then you have to re-dry brush over. And then you can get, like, different dry brush kind of... I can't pick out the word. Trends, patterns, different, there you go, different dry brush patterns to it. So you really got to make sure that you don't mess up those areas. So, last guy with hair. Oh, yeah. I'm just wondering now, too, how I'm going to be doing these details with my detail brush being kaput. Probably have to do it with my trusty toothpick. Can always fall back on that thing to do the painting. But yeah, did more trash talking today. We got that first Blood and Glory game coming up, and so Kieran Dunleavy actually opened up a new chat, which he actually just called the Triumph and Treachery trash talking thread. Oh, it got his ear. And so people are on there talking crap all over. I'm talking about how my orcs and goblins are going to kick the butt of the lizardmen and things. But turns out that we're going to have 5 people, so that's going to be interesting. I always thought looking at it, it made more sense for 4 people. I saw how they break up the board when there's 5, and I mean it's going to work, but it's not perfectly symmetrical. So there always is that kind of worry. But then again, you got to always keep in mind that these Triumph and Treachery games are more for fun. If you're going to be complaining about symmetry, you are probably going to really complain when somebody betrays you and just destroys your guys. And some of the other people are talking about, too, that, because you can actually, as you earn points, it's not like it's a tally at the end of the game that you just kind of see, like, oh, how many points did you kill, blah, blah, blah. Every turn you go and you get these little points tokens. And you can then use those tokens to bribe other players. So you can say, hey, if you don't charge me, I'll give you this 200-point token, right? And the nice thing is it says right in the book there that they don't have to stay true, right? Like, this is an agreement written in stone. So you can give someone a big token to not charge, and then you can say, screw it, I'm charging anyway, and like, no! So I might do that. You know what? The hard thing for me is I might not have a choice, right? You give me the point saying, okay, don't charge your Savage Orcs. Yeah, no problem. Oh, failed my animosity. Here we go. Or failed my frenzy test. Here we go. So they're probably not going to be doing that with me anyway. But one of the other guys had the interesting idea that he was going to set up actually kind of like a store, and it'd be like he's going to bring some drinks. He's going to have some whiskey. He's going to stuff. And like, hey, you want a drink? It's X amount of points. And some of the guys like, you know what? That's genius. Because it's kind of more of a drinking game anyway. So, hey, why not? get the drinking going, having fun, and at the same time, you're kind of getting those points. Now, clearly, it can be kind of an expensive way to get points. You know, it's not like you're giving away hugs. So there is that. I don't think I'll be giving away my points, you know. As much as I want to be doing this one for fun, I don't really see how giving away points is really going to be my thing. One of the things that's nice, though, from looking at what all the people are bringing, is that, what is it? We now have a second Lizardman player, which means that there will be demons, there will be two Lizardman players, there will be a Tomb King player, and then my orcs and goblins. And that means really the war machines will be very limited. You know, for the Tomb Kings, all they have is the Scullipult. So with me considering going with Super Orc, that could really help, especially because with his build, between the Flying Carpet and the Silvered Steel Armor, that is 95 points. So I still have 5 more points, and one of the things I could take is the 2+ ward against flaming attacks. As soon as I do that, that Scullipult is going to do nothing to me. The only thing past that I need to worry about is the cannon, the skull cannon from the demons. One of the things I have it in the back of my head that might be flaming, but I don't have my book with me to check. But either way, even if it was flaming, what I could do then is it just means I should set up an alliance with that one player, and then Super Orc has like free reign. Because Lizardmen can be kind of nasty with all their poison shots and stuff. Super Orc does not care about that stuff. You know, with a 2+ save, for the most part, all that poison shots will just bounce right off him. And he's just going to swoop in there and kill all the dudes. So that would be pretty nice. So that's definitely going to be helpful, especially if it turns out those cannons are flaming. Oh boy, you know, nothing is going to stop Super Orc. He is just going to ravage those fields. So we will see. But another thing, too, is I have to go and re-review what the actual scenario is. I mean, it's not like it's just going to be go in there and kill things. I'm sure there's some other scenario as well. Unfortunately for that part, I don't really remember that well. So I'll have to kind of see what that is. That could really change what's going on. As well, I'm going to have to design a force that doesn't really need the leadership. So that'll be, it's not really that hard. You know, you can still go with your frenzy orcs and they can do their thing. Or you just go with regular orcs. You don't even need to worry about frenzy baiting. Even then, you know, if a unit gets away from you as you're flying around, you know, even if you have orcs that don't have frenzy on them, you have to pass a leadership to not pursue. So if you set up the right type of redirect where, I mean, if they're not savages, they're not getting as many attacks anyway. But if you set that up where it's enough where they can't kill the unit and the unit will have enough that there's some remaining to run away, you know, they're only leadership 7 to pass to not pursue. So that is risky business. Although that's one strategy that I've seen very little people go after. You know, actually very little being kind of 0. So definitely something they could do. Probably shouldn't be giving away these tips. One of the other things I thought I'd be doing a lot more of as well is units that are more mobile and can kind of go everywhere. Because, like I said, 5 people, there's going to be bad guys everywhere. So it's going to be really hard to have a set line saying, this is the line, I'm going to hold this. No, there's going to be dudes all around me. And I'm going to have to need to deal with that. So I'm thinking, you know, this is where I might want things like pump wagons and the mangler squigs because, hey, I don't care where you are, what flank you are, I'm just going to point my nose in your direction and head over there. You know, maybe even squig hoppers, you know, they might even make it into the list. Even with that, He would have to, well, you know what? They could actually deal with skinks. So if I had chameleon skinks hopping behind me, I could deal with them. And I'm definitely going to be wanting war machines because they're going to be having monsters, I'm sure. Demon player. I mean, it's 2,000 points. So, I mean, at that point level, you're kind of wondering, like, oh, should I have a demon prince? And this is the demon prince that's from the demon book, not the warrior book. So it is not as scary either. But I probably want my war machine still. Plus, I mean, again, you get your points for what you destroy. So doing that one big shot and taking off a monster really just puts those points in your pocket. So that would be pretty nice. And again, you know, I'm not even a fully 100% I'll do orcs. I really, you know what? I'm lying. I am. What else would I be, right? Pull out my own lizardmen so that 3 of the armies are lizardmen? No, that's not going to happen. Dwarves? We already talked about how we can't really even castle. And plus, you get cards where, you know, somebody just plays a card on you. And it's like, well, you don't get to shoot any war machines. Or you don't get to shoot, period. It's like, well, that just totally screws up my entire plan. So, yeah. Dwarves probably aren't the way to go. Wood elves are definitely not the way to go. They're just all about picking away at things, and that wouldn't work out well. Well, I don't know. I mean, I could spend the whole game just like hunting down chaff or whatever is like almost dead, trying to go for those things. So there could be some worth in that. Then again, I mean, there's people all over, and there won't be many places to hide. So whereas my wood elves want to be running all over the place and laughing at you while you just can't catch me, uh, if I run behind you, and that just means players C and D can now see me instead, that's not really helping me. But like sniping out characters and stuff like that, that can be pretty sweet. Temptations. The temptation of owning more than one army. And I mean, I've already said that I'm going orcs and goblins, but this is triumph and treachery, right? It isn't out of place for like, haha, we are not orcs at all. We have tricked you. So there is that. I wouldn't feel too bad changing my mind. 2,000 points is pretty right where I can sneak in and use the stuff I have. You know, when you're getting up to 3,000 points, I just can't do my wood elves. I just don't have enough of the stuff there. But 2,000 is no problem. Well, coming along on these guys. Again, trying very hard not to re-get those other parts. So I need to come back and touch it up. I already noticed on the very first model that I had screwed up and gotten some of the pink more from the flesh where I didn't want it. So I'll have to come back and finish that already. One of the problems I have with these models too is that they almost look all exactly the same. And then one of the things you need to remember is that the leader has to be in a spot where everything else around her is like no model can be outside of 9 inches from that one. So it's really important that you know which one is the leader, which one's the officer. But in this case, you know, for the sword knight guy, it's pretty obvious, right? Everyone else is like, I'm a sword knight. He's just like, mm-hmm. So he's vastly different just in pose. Here, it's not that different. You know, you got guys with bows and guys with swords, and the leader, Selena, this is actually a named character for this unit. She's just kind of, I mean, she's just kind of there with her sword, and it is kind of a different sword. It's up in front of her instead of up back behind her, but still, it's just not that obvious. You know, she doesn't have any like funky hat on or something. I was even kind of wondering if I should give her a different hair color. Although I've kind of decided from doing my Nis before for my Legion that Nis have yellow hair. I just kind of decided that. that's one of the things you could do is just paint it differently so that it makes it really obvious and easy to see. Because what happens in this game is that if you ever get people out of command, they can't attack. So there's no real good comparisons because of how everything is set up on movement trays and set ranks and stuff. But for the 40K players, it'd be like if you spread out, you might be having 2 inches between models and you're in coherency. But if one model is outside of, say, 8 or 9 inches of the sergeant, sorry, you don't get to shoot. You don't get to attack. That's a pretty big deal. You can also use that to your advantage in this game, because if you ever notice that somebody is doing type of a thing where they have the one leader in the middle and then everybody is kind of ballooning out from there, what you do is just kill that one leader, and then they can promote a new person to be the new leader, but there is basically no way they can pick a model that is in range of everyone. So they're going to have to waste some models' activations where all they can do is start moving back towards your leader. So there's some fun little sneaky things you can do. Man, it's going kind of faster than I thought. I don't know. We're already 20 minutes in. Still have to do the eyes and the wash. I'm pretty sure I'll be done these guys before the hour is up, so that's pretty awesome. Still so many more guys to paint after this, though. One of the other things I was looking at is the Warhammer Weekly again. They try and do it every single Wednesday. I'm not going to be on it this week, but I'm actually going to be on the next week. I'm finally back home, back in good internet land, so I can get home from work and I can go on Warhammer Weekly. I actually have to figure out how that timing works out, but you can check out that over on Long Island Wargaming. And this week they're actually going to be having on Once Bitten. So probably we'll be talking about Brawler still a bit and his armies and what he's doing next. But of course, one of the things I did there is, for a while now, since the first time the Once Bitten came on the show, I send on questions. And I was always kind of wondering whether it was going to start coming off as annoying or if all these things. But they're actually saying to me, or Whoopie Womp was, that they actually kind of like it, right? I mean, it's kind of just, and whenever you want to put together some sort of routine, reoccurring production, one of the best things you can do is have a set format, because it really gives the viewer something to look forward to. And just to know, like, oh yeah, first they're going to be talking about this, and then this is this next segment. So having this Malorian's questions as a reoccurring thing is actually, a good thing to have. So it's nice to see that's up Captain still going. Have some wonky questions for Once Bitten. So looking forward to what he'll say to those. I already learned my lesson from the first time that Anthony was on there. I had this elaborate troll that I was trying to do on him, where basically I went on and looked and tried to find all the different definitions of canon. And then try to get things where he'd agree to it, so at the end it'd be like, ha, you like cannons. But then the whole thing kind of got lost in translation and didn't really work. So, wah, wah. But no, I just learned that the goofy, kind of more crazy, fun questions are really what they're more about anyway, right? Usually on their shows, they're more just, having fun and stuff like that. That's nice, right? You can go to some places if you want to get your serious tactical talk and stuff like that. But you just want to relax and see them interview some new channels and stuff like that. It's good to have a place like that. Little dotting. It's always risky dotting these eyes, because I know if I put in a little bit too much paint, this is like, boof, black eye. You just want to have a little dot. It's just the little pupil on the inside. That's all it's supposed to be. But you get a little too much paint there, and then you just got to redo the whole thing. I do kind of find that I almost make cat eyes, where first of all, especially like white for where the eyes are, and then I dot on the eyes, But because I know I'll be cleaning it up from like the cheeks up, I can kind of like go and get the exactly where I want the eye there. And only I'll be cleaning up on the cheeks anyway. So that typically works until those times where I just, like I say, a little bit too much black and I just got to redo the whole thing. Either that or I say screw it. It's good enough. That actually probably happens more times than not. Because when I get to this point here and I'm just doing the pupils, I'm at the end of the modeling time and it's like, yeah, like this one right here. It's like one little dot for one eye and the other was like, bruh. Whatever. We'll just clean up the pink around it and I'm sure nobody's going to notice anyway. I guess that's the nice thing of already starting your model based off a method that's eccentric around laziness. You know, you're not going to go back and spend extra time on the eyes. The very fact there actually is even dots on the eyes is probably more than what people are expecting. I got a message from on Facebook of a guy that I just kind of met normally, and I guess he also follows my channel. But he was asking if I saw any Chaos Dwarves at the Brawlers, and I did. There's 2 armies there, although I only really remember the one army. That was the one by Jerry, who sometimes does videos along with Once Bitten on his channel. And it was a scary list. I was very happy I did not have to face it. You had 2 Kadai destroyers. You had all their, super crazy war machines. And the problem is that there is lots and lots of flame and fire when it comes to the Chaos Dwarves. So, I mean, they basically have the Magma Cannon. So that's going to shoot and do massive damage to the trolls. Oh no, another big blob eye. The destroyers themselves, they have flaming, so they're going to be doing lots of damage, even passively, because I mean it's doing a flaming hit just to everybody that's in base to base, and yeah. Luckily, that was one of the advantages of not doing well in the tournament, so that all the Chaos Dwarves were up there, and I was safe down here. See? Tactical thinking. I totally did that on purpose. But, yeah, would have been kind of interesting. I mean, I haven't faced Chaos Dwarves in a long time now. Not at this year at all, and it was just like an early tournament last year where it came up. So, don't see them very often. Also seems like a lot of them have actually kind of lost interest. The people that I know that play Chaos Dwarves, some of them have moved on to other things, right? Like there's one guy I know who moved over and he's doing War Machine now. There's another guy I know who he's doing kind of like everything, Dystopian Wars, all this different stuff. But it's just kind of like that general, some people transitioning away from fantasy and losing some interesting and good opponents in the meantime. But at the same time, there's always new players, but it seems like the new players aren't picking up Chaos Dwarves. The new players are looking at what's in the store, going with that. Also, I never confirmed this, but I heard somebody said that Forge World took down all of their fantasy things from their website, which would be another reason why you're not seeing Chaos Dwarves, new Chaos Dwarves. But, yeah, that would be meaning it's basically the death to the Chaos Dwarves if that's what happened. I wonder if they're still even selling the book. I mean, again, I have not gone on to confirm that that actually happened, but... And I'm at such a weird spot with Chaos Dwarves. In that case, if Chaos Dwarves were gone, I would honestly feel bad for them, right? Because there's people where, just like I love orcs, they love the Chaos Dwarves. And, some of them have been playing them since they were first came out as an idea. And, to them, this Forge World, picking them up was just like a finally type moment, and it was like now their time. They'd wait so long, but at the same time, I know there's a lot of people like me that really didn't like the way that GW rolled out the Chaos Dwarves. Would have really, I mean, if they just would have gone out as a regular Games Workshop army that came out as a normal release and you could buy in the store, it would seem a lot more right. But yeah, I mean, I feel bad for them if they just couldn't play them anymore. Well, you can still play them. They still own their models and book. But it's like, well, I hope you had everything you needed. Although I guess I didn't really stop them before either. I saw a lot of people who would take the time of finding all the old Chaos Dwarves, all the super tall hat guys, or even ones who would go and convert up their own. I mean, they take the dwarf models and then they would be using pins, the thumb pins, and cutting off the actual pin. So you just have that plastic cap and put it upside down, and that's kind of like their tall helmet. Looked kind of wonky and crazy, but at the same time, it fit. So. But yeah, we'll see what's going on with that. There's so much uncertainty with GW in the future. I see that for the 40K side that people still aren't really liking this whole Unbound thing. That's basically where, hey, take whatever the hell you want. You know, it's basically Allies Extreme. You know, it's not even just like, oh, these are the ally charts, and now if your guys are basically bros by fluff, you can go and mix your armies. Now it's like, oh, just go ahead, mix in whatever you want. And the good thing is I'm seeing that in pretty much all regular play and tournaments, people are saying, no, this is no Unbound armies, and hey, I'm looking for a game, but no Unbound, or something like that. So it's really good to see, because hopefully this is not just in my area, and this is happening more everywhere, and that this information is getting back to GW so they can say, hey, turns out that our gamers want a little bit of balance in their game. You know, some of them are tactically minded, and having a balanced game is somewhat important. And so when it comes to the fantasy, like, to me, that would be a real killer. You know, if they came out with ninth and it was like, oh yeah, now anybody can take allies and just go ahead and mix whatever you want, it'd be like, screw this, because you're going to know that you go to a tournament and you're going to see a Demon Prince in every goddamn army, and that would be a thing where it could actually push me away. But seeing people saying that, you know what, we don't like this Unbound thing, to hell with it, you know, if that gets back to GW, then they know, like, okay, when it comes to ninth, let's stop with the wonky allies and let's actually make some rules that work. Oh, we got rain outside, which I don't mind. If you were listening to the one yesterday's pod or Paintisode, you'll know that I do not really like the sun. Okay, that's wrong. It's not that I don't like the sun. I just don't like it getting freakishly hot. So, here's another thing I don't know if you guys bother with, but I just painted all these guys, did their eyes, did the hair, the usual little details, but Selena, the leader of the unit, is a girl. And I come back and I have my pink paint, and I make sure to give her her lipstick. I don't know if that's something that, you know, a lot of people don't even dot the I's. But to me, when I look at these female models, if you don't put the little lipstick on them, a little bit of pink there or something, it just doesn't look right. Like, you're just looking like a manly face. Then all of a sudden you put on that little bit of pink lipstick. It's like, oh yeah, that's a girl, no doubt. So really at this point, I am done these models. I mean, I did cheat really in that I did a lot of this stuff yesterday, but I'm really just doing the Malorian wash, and then we're done. So hooray! So that's good. Man, we're just halfway through this, and we're already done this. This is fantastic. Still have another big batch of guys I want to do. And at first I thought, oh, I mean, I just do 10 yesterday, I'll do 10 today, 10 tomorrow. Or, you know, I was just doing for 7 tomorrow is what I was hoping for. But, yeah, I'll be going out with some coworkers and stuff tomorrow, so that won't be happening. Uh, one of my gaming buddies is bothering me, uh, saying, "Why haven't you got your battle report up yet?" Because we played a game where I just didn't stand a chance. Well, okay, I stood a chance, but I got kind of destroyed. And this is a War Machine game, but what it basically came down to was a whole idea where um, I was basing my army around like these two big robots, two big stormclads, and it's all about the army kind of supporting them. And what he did was just focused on scenario, sent his infantry forward to kind of block me out of the zones. And so he started scoring. I had to be desperate to try and get into those zones. And in doing so, just got, he was able to really focus on my guys because it was predictable to know where my guys are going. And in the end, he didn't even need to destroy my guys because he was just able to destroy enough points to win. And so the first thing I want to mention with that is just, the reason why that battle report isn't up yet is simply because I have all this painting to do, and I want to do these paintisodes. And my computer is pretty busy for quite a while before and after as I process this massive high-res video. But, it's one of the things where if I lose, I don't just like, oh, I guess I'm not making that battle report. They do still happen, right? They never seem to mention. If ever I win a game, they're never like the next day like, oh, where's the battle? I want to see you kicking my ass. But, in the games where I lose, I'm always hearing about that, it seems, right away. Like, oh, come on, where's the battle? You can't hide it forever. I'm not hiding it. So that's coming up. But one of the other things I want to say with that is it'd be nice, again, to try and find some way for Ninth to have missions that would allow for the same thing. For example, at Brawlers, one of the armies that was decimating and doing very well was this huge super Death Star that had all the hot L's and the characters and stuff to the point where Techless is in the 3rd rank and stuff like that. And the problem is that when it comes down to points denial and stuff like that, it's a huge deal. It's just like, well, especially if it's a 20-0 system, if you can't score any of those points, you are really in big trouble. Or if in the Brawler system, right? Oh, what's that? You can't destroy that unit? Well, I guess at best, you're going to get crap points for this round. So the nice thing that I like about how the Privateer Press thing is set up is just that whole fact where, oh, did you just put your things in a couple big units? Oh, well, in zone control, that has huge negatives. So it'd be nice, and I've talked about this before, but zone control scenarios are brilliant at breaking this down. Sure, if you ever get your big, huge unit into there, okay, sure, then it's kind of the same thing where, okay, I got my big unit there, you just can't shift me, I don't need to worry about the scenario, but at the same time, they still have to get there first. You have the opportunity to try and lock them out. And even then, they are telegraphing what their moves are going to be. You know that they have to move to this zone, so you can set up your redirectors and set up all your other units knowing exactly where they need to be, right? There's no big surprise of, oh no, he went off this way. No. The zone is here, and this is where they have to be. So really, really, if GW, if for some reason you listen to my Paintisodes, which I know there's no way, maybe to laugh, right? Maybe once a month they get together, the GW painters, like, oh, let's check out this Paintisode. He's so horrible. He tries so hard, but he doesn't know what thing that he's doing. But, GW, if you're listening, please go to zone control for your scenarios. It makes such a difference in the game. And a lot of people, some people are even already doing it, right? For those who take Watchtower and change that into King of the Hill, that's exactly what I'm trying to move this towards. Except it doesn't even need to be like one zone, right? Especially when you start moving to multiple zones, you, again, have another check for those Death Star armies because, oh, okay, you moved your Death Star over and you're got in that one zone, so I can't score off that one zone anymore. Well, what else do you have to come to this other zone? And if the answer is nothing, I can keep on sneaking units into your zone so that you're not scoring, and meanwhile in the other zone, ding, 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 I'm getting my points for the win. Now, the only problem with that is that fundamentally, fantasy is not set up for a point system. Um, Probably the closest we have is Watchtower and Blood and Glory, where, oh, we got a bent bow. Please don't break. Yeah. Where you actually have victory conditions that are not based off of needing to kill the whole army and adding up points like normal. So, for Watchtower, you have a unit in here at the end of the random turn length. Okay, boom, you just win. It's normally insane for Blood and Glory. It's an automatic massacre. So the problem then is how would you change it so that if you had a game that could be one off victory points or off scenario. So you'd have to be a system where, okay, the game is going to be 6 turns max. That's going to be the maximum amount of turns you can have. However, if you meet this scoring scenario, you automatically get granted a total massacre, or you could even just say that all enemy models count as being destroyed. And that'd be one way of getting away, because when you get to the brawler system or the 20-0, just saying you win by a massacre, that doesn't really say anything, right? We need a point value attached. So if you did it that way, like I just said, where, oh, okay, we'll just say that if you win by the scenario given, then you basically get the points for everything in the enemy army. And the big thing you'd start seeing with a shift like this is armies being built that can actually deal with the scenario. So you can't just have, one big super Death Star. You need to be having multiple units. You need to be having fast units that can get up there and block theirs and try and hold down these zones and contest zones and stuff like this, right? So, man, cross your fingers, guys. It would be really nice. As a person who has experience in these multiple game systems, there is just huge opportunities. And you're going to have a few people who will be caught off guard by it, and they'll be pissed off, right? Just like how when 8th came out, when people went to tournaments, and it's like, okay, it's Blood and Glory, and I win because you didn't take enough banners. Yay! And they're kind of pissed off. Like, this is bull, I shouldn't have a game that I just walk into and I lose. Well, guess what, buddy? You own the book just like everybody else. You know what the scenarios are, and you should be designing an army that can deal with them, right? You should be having a unit that can go into the Watchtower. You should be making sure you have plentiful banners so that if it ever comes to Blood and Glory, you'll be fine, right? So they're not really valid in their arguments for thinking that it's unfair. Doesn't stop them from complaining, though. I remember one game I had with Kieran Dunleavy where I actually screwed up and I forgot my entire unit of Black Orcs. So, I was just playing the tournament 500 points down, no biggie. And my wife, being that she's super awesome, was going to be running them to me so I could actually get them. So that's awesome. However, I had to play a few games without them. And at first, Kieran Dunleavy, for those who don't know this name I'm dropping, he has his own channel and stuff. You can go check him out. But at first, he was offering to also play 500 points down, which was really cool of him. But I was like, no, this is my mistake. We'll just kind of deal with it. But the scenario there was Blood and Glory. And what he was running was a Lord on a Dragon. And I had plentiful war machines because I'm Orcs and Goblins. And Orcs and Goblins, they know their war machines. And so really looking at it, it was just pew, 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 kill his general, I think I had to use my Doom Divers to like kill one unit of knights to get one more banner. And it's like, boom, that's it. Game was over like turn 2. And he was kind of like, huh, you know. But, he was good with it. He wasn't mad. He was like, you know what? Yeah, that's right. That was something I didn't plan for. And once we're at that point, we can say, okay, you get the win. Let's just play out the game now, right? Like, we'll just keep on playing. And because that way we're not just standing around like jerks for, 2 hours while we wait for everybody else. We got a game going on. Why don't we just finish it and see how it actually go? As I remember it, I still would have gotten the win normally too, I believe, but it was a lot closer. But yeah, it's just one of those things where you have to plan for those scenarios. There's even people, I was hearing people at Brawlers, where, again, it's not even one of these tournaments where they say, plan for scenarios. We'll be using rulebook scenarios. And then you're taking that risk, right? Where, they might take Blood and Glory, they might not. They might do Watchtower, they might not. But at Brawlers, there were actual, like, it just tells you, this game will be Blood and Glory. And, I mean, it wasn't even a straight up Blood and Glory. It wasn't that if you lose, you lose. If you are the first one to lose your fortitude in Brawlers, you basically were handing over 1,000 points to your opponent. And then if you wanted to get any scenario points, you had to come back and break their fortitude to get 500 points. And it was funny walking around and listening to guys going, oh man, all right, in this game, I'm going to automatically break for my fortitude. Oh, this sucks. It's like, well, no, you're a dumbass. It said right there, what this was going to be, and you just didn't really plan for it. So it's, and how come I can't have the luck to face these guys at Brawlers, right? How nice would that be just to walk in and be like, 1,000 points, cha-ching. Although, to be fair, that Blood and Glory one, that's the one where my trolls went hog wild on those lizardmen. I got some pretty nice points. So, can't really complain there either. So, where we are at currently is I have about 13 minutes left, but the NIST hunters are done. The ninjas, some of them have these caps in the middle, but they are all painted. Hiya, we're ninjas. And now it's going to kind of wait for them to dry, and I can base them. I'm starting to run out of my basing material, but I don't have enough for these guys. But now I'm going to start doing these precursor knights. They're another one too, where they could be very easy or they could be very difficult. Because really, they are like knights with maces, and for the most part, they are just armor with like the cloth kind of going down their chest and down between their legs. So for the most part, I can just go silver, do the cloth, do some other details, and they can be done. But at the same time, I could get into a lot more, pick out a lot more details. So I think at this point, I'm just going to start with, I'm actually looking at the model and wondering whether I should go over and do the cloth first or the metal first. Because you kind of want to do the one that there is the most of, and you want to do the one that's on the inside. And for the most part, it's kind of a mix between the two, but I think I'm going to be putting on the metal color first. Especially because, yeah, here's going to be the sinker. As they're set up with their shields, right? And so one of the things that's always hard to paint is the inside of the shield. So if I was to do the cloth first and then try and get in and around to get the shield, I'm probably going to have to redo the cloth. So I'm going to do the shield first, and then I'll come back and do the cloth. Tactical painting. But yeah, this is going well. I am now, officially with these models, I've now done 20 models in 2 days. And man, I mean, it's yesterday was a rough day painting. To be completely honest, I was here painting, like I told you, for 6 hours. And when I stood up from my crappy little fold-up chair here, my ass was killing me. Oh, but, just like this, tons and tons of guys done. And this is what you need to do when you want to get your guys done for a tournament. And the nice thing is that unlike some other hobbies where you know, you can play your game and then at the end you don't really have anything to show for it, these guys will be painted forever. I mean, sure, they might chip, I might have to retouch them up or something like that, but otherwise, from now on, if I ever have any tournament come up, I can say, hey, I can pull out my sword knights, I can pull out my Nis hunters, I can pull out soon my precursor knights, and they are just good to go. So, I mean, again, we were still having a little bit of argument still on the local forums. It was pretty tame at this point. Most of the barking has been done by now. But just the whole thing about whether it's more enjoyable to have painted armies or not. And the real clincher to me is that it's just do it, man. Sure, it takes a little bit of time investment, but it really isn't that hard to paint these armies, especially if you use, say, like that Vol technique and just do like the simple washes and dry brushes and stuff. And you can have a whole army painted in no time, especially when we're talking about War Machine, right? I mean, for fantasy, when I see the guy coming in with 200 slaves and a lot of them aren't painted, I understand, right? That's a lot of models. But for War Machine, where there really isn't that much, come on. I'm still waiting for some of you guys that I know, like Stephen Walker. I know he got War Machine models, but you're not doing any War Machine battle reports. So get with it, man. One thing that actually is really lacking currently is battle reports on YouTube for War Machine. Oh, I'm sure there's actually lots out there. I just probably don't know where they are. But battle reports for War Machine where they actually keep it at a good pace. I know of a lot of good battle reports where, you know, we're talking about a report that takes an hour or more, and that's just a big, huge time investment. I mean, I don't want to blow my own horn, but I think the ones where you can bring it down to, say, 20 minutes or so or less, those are just a lot easier to digest and get in. But most people just aren't doing that. And I mean, I like to watch battle reports too, right? So it'd be nice if found more of those. If you are a viewer and you do know of other places that do those type of War Machine battle reports where they either do pictures like I do, or if they do the video that they speed up so that it doesn't take as long, that'd be pretty nice. Crippled System is one that I was watching, and they did that, but man, they hardly ever put out battle reports. Oh, the boring first coat. Just slapping down the paint. I kind of hate when they do this type of a thing. His back foot is kind of off the ground. So they give him this look like he's moving forward. But to make it more stable, they almost make it so and GW does this too. They connect the ground to his foot by like this little swirl of either wind or grass or something, and you're just left wondering like, what the hell is that? You know, am I supposed to just clip it off? Do I leave it? What do I paint it? Normally, what I do is I just flock over it, so it does turn out to be like it's the grass coming up with his step type thing. But honestly, I'd appreciate more if they just made it so that the other foot was more stable, so that I didn't really even need to keep it there, right? Dramatic poses are nice, but not having swirls of air or grass coming up to your feet magically all the time is pretty nice too. There's two guys. And this is, I mean, just here, I'm just doing the silver on these, and right away, it's just such a huge step forward, right? If I go and bring these guys to a tournament, even just as this, where I just go on and put on the first silver coat, you know, that it looks so much better than just being the same black or the same, you know, base pewter silver type thing. it almost seems silly, right? You take your regular silver model, um, prime it black, and then paint it silver again. But oddly enough, it does make it look better. Don't think there's any denying that. Oh. I was talking with some of my other gaming buddies there today, and one of them was talking about how he was just trying to get in with another group as well. Not that he was trying to ditch our group or anything, but he's just trying to get more games in. So he just trying to say like, hey, if I can find some other people that also play routinely, I can just be going to both gaming groups, and I get more games in, right? Totally understandable. It makes perfect sense. And the guys came back, and it's like, holy crow! Like, remember, we're not talking like a university fraternity. We're talking about a little gaming group. And they're like, oh, well, the way that it starts is at first you have to come out to our gaming nights. And then, if you're doing well and it looks like you're actually doing this to compete and serious to come out to big events, then you'll be invited to come to the main group. But you got to show that you're going to be a regular and you're going to be here to uphold our name. And it's like, come on. I'm just looking to come in and get more games in. It's not like if I go to a tournament and lose, they're like, oh, that club, they suck. Then again, I mean, that could just maybe be my feelings. I know, like around here, I mean, we did have a little war for a while between two of the clubs, but that was more based off of store versus store. So it wasn't really this club versus that club. It was more this store versus that store. But for the most part, it doesn't really matter what club you're part of or not, right? Just because you are part of this club, they don't say like, oh, you're one of these better people or something like this. But man, I mean, one of the things that kind of stood out to me is how it actually was important to people, more so at brawlers. You had the people coming out where the Cobra Kai actually had banners and stuff like this. It's like, holy crow. I kind of wonder if they had the same thing. Like, if I was to walk up and say, hey, Cobra Kai, can I join you guys? Would they be like, yeah, sure, whatever. Buy a t-shirt, we don't really care. Or they'd be like, oh, I don't know. What was your ranking in your last 3 tournaments? Like, come on, guys. One of the things I did forget to do was I was kind of tempted to ask to see if I could be part of the Fancy Lads. Not that I could ever really go to a gaming group or anything like that, but just the name and their symbol I thought was pretty cool. I'd wear that t-shirt. Orc with a top hat. Fancy Lads. I mean, just the name is cool, right? So, whereas other ones, there's like I don't know, the Hardcore Dragons or something like that. And then you got the Fancy Lads, right? Just for that alone, right? I'm a guy who owns pink armies. So that's totally my sense of humor. But I forgot to ask Shimmergloom about it. Maybe I had to prove myself. Had to do better at brawlers. That was my fault. They're like, well, it would be nice to have Malorian and the Fancy Lads, but did you see how his trolls got destroyed? Clearly, he is not Fancy Lad material. Maybe next year he can apply again. Take the test. Oh, still going. The nice thing is that once I do this silver and once I do the cloth over their bodies, that's going to be the vast majority of it. These are also the guys, though, however, that have decided to show their faces. So that is unfortunate. That means I'll have to come back and paint all of those. I wonder if it actually is worth it sometimes. When you have models that have these open faces and type helmets, whether it's actually worth it to go back and convert and really just cut off their heads and give them closed helmeted heads. Whether that would actually take less time than going and having to paint all those faces. Although, for the most part, it's not like it takes super long. But, I mean, sometimes it can be really annoying, especially when you have, like, these really tight angles, and it's really hard to get to where the eyes are and stuff like that. But yet you can still see them very easily. Those are the pain ones to deal with. Where am I at this? Fifth one. I always have to remind myself to clean my brush. Otherwise, it just turn into a super hard mess. Did we miss anything? Yep. Hells yeah, we missed something. How did we not miss something? Again, that's why they'd reject me from the club. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Your base coat didn't cover the whole model? Get out of here, chump. We don't want your kind. So, yeah. I don't know. Like, for me, like, when I come back here this weekend, first of all, I'm doing the first game night with Kieran Dunleavy, and we're going to be playing some Triumph and Treachery. And then the next day, I'm going to be doing some gaming at my place for War Machine. And for that one there, I just send out the email to anyone who seems to be ever interested to come over. And it's like, come on down. I don't care if you're a strong player, a weak player, whatever. If you're a person that is at least close enough that you enjoy coming over to play games, come on down, right? That's all I care about. So, one of the things I was starting to have regrets on yesterday is I was talking about how I have a couple of tournaments coming up, and all three of them are going to be War Machine. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I owe it to the fans that, I should actually make it one of them to be fantasy, because there is the one where it's a multiple day event. I'm running one event, and then I get to go to one for free. So I was going to be doing the War Machine one there, mainly to help me force to get my stuff painted and give myself that inspiration. But I was like, maybe I should do the fantasy, right? Get those battle reports in, have some fun, come back to the community. But unfortunately, it actually turns out to be impossible because the fantasy tournament is actually a 2-day tournament. So there's literally no way I could do that given the fact that I'm running an event on one of those days as well. So, but that's okay. When I go to meet Kieran Dunleavy, I'm going to be talking to him about one of the local stores and figuring out when their normal gaming night is, and then just start going there. And then you guys will know. It'll be something like every Thursday. That's when Malorian goes to play at the gaming store. So Friday, you should probably assume you're going to see those battle reports. That'll be nice too. Just having something that's more routine. Sometimes I feel bad for that, where there's no battles for a couple of weeks, and then there's 3 games the next week. I was also thinking about this week about how there's a lot of other battle reporters that aren't putting up stuff anymore. And it's just, I know it hasn't been long, but it's like, I just keep worrying. Like, Mr. Reef hasn't done anything for a while. Actually, I don't know. There's a lot of them. So I never know if sometimes I should be just doing like a mass call out to all these guys and say like, hey, come on. Where'd you go? Don't give up on us. Come back, do your battle reports. We miss you. But I'm sure some of these guys, they don't even check them. I mean, when they do make the decision to walk away from YouTube, they probably don't check their messages anymore. One of the ones I used to message a lot was this Bunker Tube. And when it got to the point where on their channel, there was like 3 messages in a row from me where just like every 6 months, it's like, hey, you coming back? You said you were coming back. What's going on? Where's the battle reports? eventually I got the hint. I went, all right, they're not coming back. They're probably not even reading this. I'm just wasting my time. And at the same time, too, sometimes I was putting more thought into it because before I was just doing, even starting to say, like, hey, go to this guy's channel and make a post saying, oh, why don't you start again? But I'm sort of wondering, too, if some of the people don't like that attention. For those who maybe they stopped doing Warhammer because they just can't afford it anymore, or whatever. They just honestly do not like it anymore, or whatever the reason is, and they just don't want to have to share it, right? Like, sure, they were doing a battle report for a while, but it's not like they have to go and they're dedicated to share the rest of their lives with YouTube, right? And maybe they don't appreciate people swamping them with questions of, hey, what's going on? What's going on? And then you have to kind of blur out, like, I got cancer. Leave me alone. Right? So that's why when I started saying names, I started going, I don't know. So maybe I should start just more doing call outs and mentioning people who are doing things as opposed to those who are not. With that, then, Warhammer with Sheeb, good to see he's doing Battle Report still. He had just missed the last month's Around the World in 12 games, but as luck would have it, on one of the first days there, he actually had his demon battle, so he was good for it anyway. But he didn't stop there. He got in another game anyway, just to be safe and sure. So good on him. That's War Gaming with Sheeb, I believe it is. I forget if it's Warhammer or War Gaming. I'm sure if you search Warhammer and Sheeb, Sheeb, you would find him. But especially for him, too, because for a while there, he was not getting the respect that he should have, right? He was at first doing it with Codex Dan, who is Mini Wargaming Dan, and whenever Sheeb would put up his battle report, people would just be like, hey, you're not Wargaming Dan, get out of here, right? Like, they just kind of blew him off. So good to see that he just, took that in stride, made his own channel, and he just keeps going, right? He was testing things out. He was trying to do battle reports that were more where he'd make it on a map type thing to kind of show you what it is, testing things out, going back to pictures. So good to see. Man, so close. What do I got? Two more guys. I'm going to put on this initial silver coat, and then we're going to call it. Because I already know the timer on this thing, I don't know why they just randomly decide, but at 1 hour, the timer goes gray, and you just can't see it anymore. So I know it's been more than an hour. I just don't know how much more than an hour it's been. But we're just going to finish these two, and then that's it. So, as always, I love hearing what you guys are working on. This will be going out on Wednesday, even though I'm doing this painting here on Tuesday. So that means that on this same day will be the Warhammer Weekly on Long Island Wargaming. So make sure to go over there and check that out. Especially since, Once Bitten's going to be there. Should be lots of fun. You can see what questions I decided to troll them with this time. I really do enjoy trolling people. I wish there was a job where that's just all I did. Was just going around picking on people. Professional asshole. That's my dream job. I'm so bad for it too. I was going on friends' Facebook and making fun of their updates and their serious updates. My brother-in-law just started up his own company that was Heavy Duty Evolution Corporation or Inc. or something. And so for Heavy Duty Evolution, I had to throw in a Pokemon joke. And so, I'm sure he has all these, like more truckers and guys like this that he he wants to be seeing this sort of like post, and then here I go and I make a Pokemon jab at him type thing. It's a little nerdy stuff, you know. I don't seriously do anything super mean. Just poke a little bit of fun, right? That's not too bad. Now here's another leader I don't really like the look of. Because all the knights are like, I have a shield and a mace in some sort of way. This guy, his big thing that's different is he also has a book. Yeah. On his belt. It's like, come on. Could he not at least have like a different helmet or bigger shoulder pads or something that's not just a freaking book? So as I paint this guy, I'm going to have to find some other way to make him... So, I mean, again, for me, if I lose track from him, I just lose attacks. So my opponent is going to be perfectly happy if I lose track of who the leader is. I won't be happy. Yeah. Also, I'm also, in a way, I was talking about how some people are making battle reports right now. I'm actually almost enjoying the lull. And I'm sure a lot of people are feeling the same way, where after Brawlers, there was a swarm of battle reports, and I was hard pressed to try and keep up with them because I really want to watch them all, right? Even though I was there and I was able to talk to Once Bitten and he told me what happened in his games, and I got to hear from some of the other guys too, you know, I still want to see their battle report to see exactly how it went down, right? Like, I know Anthony did very well with his Bretonians, but I want to see how he pulled this off type thing, right? And so I went through and I watched all the reports that were put out. And yeah, I mean, it just takes a lot of time to watch everything. So definitely, I brought this up another time where I noticed that my reports during Brawlers were getting views very slowly. But I completely understand. I said it then, and I still believe it now. There was just, I mean, people only have so much time. And so if you put out 40 videos, you know, between us in a week, people have to divide up their time, right? So either way, I have done the silver onto the Precursionites. You can kind of see, like, already they're like, okay, cool, they're the silver dudes or whatever, right? So they're good. I'll have a picture of the Nis Hunters coming up after this. But otherwise, yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know what you are working on, and we'll catch you again. Bye.